Welcome to the Unscripted Narrator. Here's where imagination knows no bounds and the realms of fiction come to life.
Joana lived in a small town nestled in the hills of western Maryland, surrounded by forests and farmland. It was a place where the changing seasons painted the landscape with vibrant hues, and where everyone knew each other by name. Joana had lived here all her life, in a quaint house on a quiet street that ran along the edge of a creek. She was a woman of simple routines: early morning walks by the water, afternoons spent in her cozy kitchen experimenting with new recipes, and evenings curled up with a good book. Joana worked at a local antique store, a small but charming shop filled with old furniture, dusty books, and forgotten treasures from a time long past. She loved the stories each item seemed to hold. And she often imagined the lives of the people who had once owned them. One fall day, as Joana was sorting through a collection of old photographs at the shop, a man entered. His name was Henry, a tall, quiet figure with a weary look in his eyes. He was an artist who had recently moved to the area, hoping to find some peace and inspiration after a long career in the city. Joana noticed him right away. His eyes held a kind of sadness that intrigued her, and something about his presence made her feel like she should reach out. After a brief exchange, Henry told Joana that he had recently lost his wife to illness, and that he was still struggling to find his place in this new chapter of his life. Over the following weeks, Henry returned to the antique store often. Sometimes, he would just sit in the corner of the shop, sketching, while Joana went about her work. They didn't speak much at first, but there was a quiet understanding between them. Joana could see how his art had begun to change. His sketches were filled with light, the strokes softer, more hopeful. One afternoon, as Joana was cleaning out an old chest, she found something that made her heart skip a beat: an antique locket, delicate and tarnished by time. It was a beautiful piece, with intricate engravings on the outside. As she held it, she felt the weight of its history, and for reasons she couldn't explain, she thought of Henry. The next time he visited, Joana showed him the locket. He paused, examining it with a distant look, as if remembering something. Then, in a soft voice, he told Joana the story of the locket. It had once belonged to his wife, a gift she had given him on their wedding day. He had never thought much of it at the time, but now, it felt like a piece of her that he could hold on to forever. Joana listened quietly, moved by the emotion in his words. It was then she realized that sometimes, the things we cherish most are not the grand gestures, but the small, everyday moments we share with the people we love. As winter approached, Joana found herself looking forward to the quiet moments she shared with Henry. They would take long walks through the woods, talking about everything and nothing at all, and sometimes, they would simply sit in the shop, surrounded by antiques and memories, finding comfort in the silence. One evening, as they sat together on the porch of her home, watching the last light of day fade behind the hills, Henry turned to Joana. "I came here to escape the pain of losing her," he said softly. "But I think I found something else here. Something I didn't expect." Joana smiled gently, feeling the weight of the moment. "Maybe," she said, "it's not about escaping the past, but about finding new meaning in the present." As the years went by, Joana and Henry continued to grow closer. They shared their dreams, their fears, and the quiet moments that had once seemed insignificant, but had come to mean everything. And though neither of them had any grand expectations for the future, they knew that the small town of Maryland, filled with its seasons, its stories, and its memories, had become the place where they had found healing, and perhaps, even a new beginning.
As our tale comes to a close, we hope it has ignited your imagination and left you craving for more adventures. If you enjoyed the journey we shared today, don't forget to show your support by hitting the like button and subscribing to our channel.